Welcome to the Grow Renaissance podcast. Let's nourish the world.
Okay, welcome back to Pasture Prime Time, where we dig into the ideas, people, and practices driving agriculture and our agri-food market forward. Today's guest is Kevin Smith. From a family of farmers and organic meat processors, 30 years as chef, and now working in a multitude of food operation management and executive positions, Kevin is not only a man on a mission, but a certified clinical nutritionist. Currently supporting Zero Acres in building their healthy organic regenerative cooking oil to the food service operators and manufacturers globally. And we're really excited to have you on the podcast, Kevin, and have a really good chat, or as the Australians say, a good yarn about what you're doing and why it's so important to talk about alternative oil and cooking solutions. And of course, we want to peel the onion on everything going on in terms of agri-food. But I'd like to pass the mic over to you, maybe fill in the gaps if I've missed anything there. But I'd like you to answer this one question as you get going. What is working well today in our agri-food market space?
Thank you, Neil. I don't think I need to fill in any gaps. You did a really good job there with the intro. So yeah, lots of experience in restaurant and food operations, right? And then a deep connection to agriculture, farming, just through family, and then the career path that I took in, providing food on a plate for people. What do I think is going well? I mean, I think that there is a big movement going back to regenerative farming. And I think that there's now a lot of support from, social media platforms and documentaries, and I think people are getting more and more educated. I think it's linked to people want to be healthy. They want to get back to feeling good, and, it starts with the ground and the food coming out of it. And I think there is an awareness, and I see it happening every day with the people I meet in small and large food operations. They're looking to, I don't even know if they know they're dialing the clock back to how it used to be, but, that's kind of how I feel like there is a movement dialing that clock back to when we used to eat whole food and be healthy.
Absolutely. Just to point on that, I'm really interested because you and I were having that conversation the other day, and I was so fascinated at your level of understanding of the nutritional aspect of agriculture. You've got such a breadth, and we were talking specifically about soy, right? What was it that really got you started on this journey? I mean, you grew up as a farmer, but then how did that kind of bridge over into the nutritional, the health and wellness side of things?
So I'm from the UK. I grew up in farmland. Everything back then was organic. You
Yeah.
didn't label it organic. It was my mom shopped at the farm. I mean, we had our own meat company. My grandmothers were both butchers. We ate nose to tail every single part of that animal.
Yeah.
And I moved to America in 2000, and I was young. I was in my early 20s, and I think you can get away with a lot with your body when you're young.
Yeah.
But I had, a way of eating, and if anything, I felt like I came here and I was probably eating healthier in a lot of ways, and progressively my health degraded.
Mm.
And that made no sense to me, to eat the same things that I ate in the UK, or even things that should be healthier, and me not have a healthy body.
Mm.
And honestly, so what happened was I was running restaurants, food operations. I was a corporate chef, operations manager. The restaurant world is, I mean, it's intense. I'd work 70, 80 hours a week, 7 days a week.
Wow. Wow.
I opened restaurants where I would, be in the restaurant 6 months without a day off. And
Wow.
it just really burned me out, and I got sick. And I
Mm.
started to go to doctors in Los Angeles, and the only thing that ever happened was they would write me 5 prescriptions for,
Yeah.
drugs. And
Yeah.
that's very alien to someone coming from Europe and the UK. Like, we don't operate that way. the first thing the doctor asks you about is, what do you eat?
Mm.
How is your sleep?
Mm.
Do you exercise? Do you smoke? How much alcohol do you drink? None of those questions ever came up, right? It was
Wow.
just like, oh, there's this wrong with you. There's this symptom. There's that symptom. Write me a prescription. So
Right.
I went half a dozen doctors. Every single one gave me the same process, 15 minutes in and out, 5 scripts for drugs.
Mm.
They went in the trash can every single time.
Yeah.
And I was kind of in a state of apathy about it. And then I started to deep dive nutrition and look at
Mm.
why am I not well? Obviously, I knew I was working a lot, so that was an element, but it's like I'm not eating bad food.
Yeah.
Or my perception was I wasn't eating bad food. So then I started to really study nutrition, and the more I read and the more I dove into it, and with that, there was also this element of history and
Mm.
what I grew up with. And I'm like, okay, well, why is it different?
Mm.
What is the American agriculture doing that they weren't doing where I was growing
Mm.
up? And it started to get very obvious. I adapted the way I ate. I started actually importing flour from Europe,
Wow.
Roundup free flour that was organic, and making my own food, and just I changed everything. I started eating raw A2 milk, just stuff that, like I grew up with milk, right, being delivered to my door from the dairy, and it was bad in a day and a half. You would not want to drink that milk 2 days after you got it. And then I'm looking at the milk in my refrigerator, and I'm drinking I'm drinking a gallon of milk a day I'm weight training and working out as well as working. And I'm drinking like a gallon of milk, and I've gone to non-fat, which was a bad move in the first place, not going with whole milk. But then I look at the date on it, and it's like, oh, it's going to last 6 weeks.
Mm.
And I'm
Mm.
like, and I hadn't thought about it until I studied it. And then I start seeing it everywhere. And
Yeah.
the thing I really deduced was everything, in the food system in the US seems to be made for speed and,
Yeah.
convenience, and everything's fast, and, no one wants to cook anymore. And it's like, everybody's too busy. And I went back to, okay, I'm making all my own food. I'm making it from scratch. Now, and then obviously I realized that's not an efficient model for everybody, because people do work
Sure.
a lot.
Yeah.
But there's no reason that it couldn't be that way.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how my nutritional journey started.
Wow.
In short, I healed my body, got it in really good condition, and everyone around me was like, "What are you doing? How did you get your body so in good condition? How are you so healthy looking?" And I would start to talk about it, and then they're like, "Well, can you help me?" And I'm sure I'll help you. Fine. And then I took it. I'm a real science geek too. So then I was like, all right, I'm helping all of these people. Why don't I just go get certified? So I went to USC Health Services and did a certification to run a clinic, like a nutritional clinic.
Yeah.
Did that, scored very highly, and then, started working in the nutritional world. And then doing that, I really discovered I had a lot of Europeans. And then I really started to see the differences of man, all these Europeans, they go back to Europe, they feel great, they come to America, and the only solution they were being given was, well, don't eat gluten, well, don't eat dairy,
Yeah.
well, don't eat this, well, don't eat that. And I'm like, we've been eating gluten and dairy for millennia.
Yeah.
This is excluding everything is ridiculous to me. That's not the solution. We need to get it back to when it didn't make us feel sick.
Right.
Right. So, and then that has kind of catapulted me to now being in certainly with Zero Acre, which is handling a massive problem on this planet that is very
Yeah.
much big agriculture in seed oil production, and it's
Yeah.
extremely destructive to humans in their body and nature and the environment, and
Yeah.
So it's kind of just led me on this path of like, okay, we need to fix these problems. And
Yeah.
so I've got this like deep knowledge of all these areas, but it really came from a personal journey. It wasn't like I didn't set out to have this knowledge. It was like it became essential for my survival.
Yeah.
And it is essential for us to change the way these things are being done for the survival of not just human beings,
Yeah.
but the planet. I mean, we're destroying the earth. And it's very interesting the targets I see that people have. Let's go all electric cars. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, well, you've still got to generate the power. I'm like, but
Yeah.
if we regenerated all these seed oil farms, that's now 30+% of the agriculture on our planet, and it doesn't sequester any carbon, it just produces carbon, and you made those all regenerative farms. I mean, man, we could all drive Hummers and burn coal, and all of the carbon would be sequestered into the ground. We would have like the richest soil on, certainly in America. That's just America. So it's
Yeah.
kind of, but now it's, it's an obsession. I'm frankly obsessed with making change.
Oh,
I
that's
love it.
awesome. I know, and I love hearing how that kind of, your mission, your journey has evolved over the time just out of that necessity. Because we all hear this. Like when I went to
Hmm.
Europe, I could eat everything, everything. I'm actually very allergic to corn, at least here in the United States. And after I left Europe, I went to Canada. I was there for 10 days for work, and I went to this restaurant. It turns out to be like in the top 4 best restaurants in Canada. And I honestly thought there was some mashed potatoes, and it was a puree of corn. I did not know that until I ate it. And I almost had a mini heart attack when I realized I just ate a plate of corn and I was completely fine,
Yeah.
100% okay. And I talked to the chef because I was so freaked out. He's like, we import only the best, completely organic, all from overseas. I had zero reaction from it. So we all kind of know that. It's just when you're here in the United States. But I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about, well, two things: the clinic and what you guys did, because I know a little bit of that, and it's a phenomenal story of what you were really focused to fix in the clinic. And then also I'd love to hear more about Zero Acre, what you're doing, really that whole scope of how you guys are stepping in to not only fix agriculture in a lot of ways and the planet, but also human health.
Yeah. I mean, so the clinic I mean, I would handle anyone that came in, and it was, it's very interesting because there was a lot of people that were on a similar journey to me, right? They'd been to
Yeah.
doctors, and they weren't getting their solution. It was just like, okay, well, I got to take meds for the rest of my life. That's what this doctor's
Yeah.
saying. And I'm like, no, that's not true. We can fix that, right? So I would handle any issue, but I really honed in, and back to food again, but I honed in on the gut. And
Yeah.
I became an expert on, the gut and the intestines, and how the whole body is really frankly ran by obviously what's going in the body, and then that system in the body.
Hmm.
And what really struck me, and we dealt with a lot, was people with depression, people
Yeah.
on, antidepressants, people on psych meds, people that had to take these medications to just be able to get out of bed or be
Yeah.
able to be in a half decent mood to operate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of, we dialed into that. And my wife is also a clinical nutritionist, and we work together. And for the most part, we were getting people off of those drugs, getting them off
Amazing.
of, you know, basically drugs that they were told they were going to have to take for their whole lives. I had people that had been taking these drugs for 25 years.
Wow.
We would, very carefully repair their gut, get their intestines in a condition, eliminate the things that were making this a problem.
Hmm.
One of those major issues is Roundup in
Yeah.
our agricultural system. I mean, it kills everything. You put any food with that in your body, and I mean, it's sprayed on wheat, like right before they harvest it. It's insane. So you're consuming an antibiotic.
Hmm.
It's killing everything in your gut. And I like to simplify things, right? So when someone asks me about food and digestion, I keep it real simple. It's like, you do not digest your food.
Mm,
That you're very little to do with that. Microorganisms digest your food and make the things in your body
mm,
that make you happy, that help your body heal, that
mm,
make you healthy. It's like, without those organisms, we're dead. Just
mm.
like when you put it on the soil and you kill the organisms in the soil, now you've got no nutrients in your soil. It's the same in the gut, right? So I would educate people on that. And to a degree, I would have to eliminate a lot of product from their
Sure.
diet. In America, and I think this is a worldwide problem. There's
Yeah.
also this, we eat masses of sugar in America as well,
Yeah.
which that just fuels the problem. So I would heal the gut, get people, I would help them with other glands. It's really interesting that in holistic nutrition and whole food nutrition, and this should be really obvious, but it's like, if you want to heal the liver, then you should eat liver.
Yeah.
If you want a healthier brain, you should eat brain. And then the other nutrients that support it, right? Like the brain is predominantly fat.
Hmm.
So, when I'm trying to get someone in a better condition in their brain, most people are not going to eat brain, frankly. It's almost impossible. But I worked with very good supplement companies that would have desiccated,
Hmm.
supplements. They were supplements made with organic brain. Now, I grew up eating brain. My grandma would cook it on the stove and we would eat it, right? So I ate nose to tail everything. So, and I know Neil's, comes from obviously a farm background, so he's saying, yeah, it's like, I grew up with that, but I don't do that now, I've got to admit. But if I'm trying to heal somebody, then I'm getting really good fat in their body and I'm getting some brain into their body with a supplement, right? And then
Yeah.
I'm telling them to stay hydrated because the brain is submerged in water. And that it's just, so the whole food nutrition way of fixing a body is
Mm.
giving someone the actual nutrient that their body is made of.
That makes sense.
yeah, I mean, we're putting pig heart in human beings.
Yeah.
This is, we can replace our own heart with a pig's heart. That tells you how close we are genetically to these
Yeah.
animals. So
Yeah.
that's what I did there, and like helped a lot of people. And I still do it today. Honestly, I don't run the clinic anymore, but I'm still very involved. Anyone who comes to me who has these problems, I have a lot of people out there that bring people that need help to me. And frankly, I do it for free. I can, I give them a protocol, I get them working, and then we go.
That's
So
amazing.
that was the nutritional clinic. And, we kind of wound it down. Really, COVID kind of caused us to have to wind that down. Unfortunately, this is the other problem, is it's discretionary spending. Insurance
Hmm.
companies don't cover what I did.
Yep.
So, people, when they don't have money, these are the things they cut. So that kind of really, held that from going. We were going great
Yeah.
6 days a week, and then we were barely even open a day.
Wow.
And then, so flipping to the Zero Acre stuff, right? So
Yeah.
my own study, research, and deductions on human health led me to, but really everything I looked at, I'm like, okay, we have a lot of problems here. But the number one problem to me is seed oil. So just to clear up for everybody, seed oil is the same as what you are told is vegetable oil. So this is anything that you are producing an oil from a seed, pretty much. So we're talking about canola oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil, safflower oil,
Mm.
even corn oil. So we're producing these crops just to make oil. So problem with that is they're really high in a fat called polyunsaturated fat.
Just before you get into that, where does vegetable oil come in to your equation here? And I mean, I know the answer to this, but I'd love.
It comes in to annoy me, frankly, Neil, because none of them are vegetables. It's like, I mean, it's flat out marketing. that has been to try and give somebody this idea that it's healthy. And they were named that way as it's a complete marketing tool so that the consumer sees vegetable oil on an oil and it's like, oh, it's from vegetables. It must be healthy. And it's like, none of those things I'm talking about are vegetables at all.
Wow.
In fact, canola is from the mustard seed family. There's no vegetable about it, and soybeans are not a vegetable either. I don't actually like, you and I were talking about this the other day, Amanda. Soy, when it is grown correctly and then put through the correct processes, can be a very healthy ingredient, but it's very inefficient from producing an oil standpoint. I mean, we're talking like 2,400 soybeans to get 5 tablespoons of oil. That's like
Wow.
that's a palm full of oil. It's
Wow.
a massive amount of land that has to be used. I mean, just to give you some context, the oil that I'm trying to replace these oils with, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but just from
Yeah.
a farming standpoint, the product that we are replacing soybean oil with, we produce a metric ton from organic regenerative farms where we never touch the soil in 0.3 acres. For a metric
Wow.
ton of soybean oil, we are talking 6 acres.
Wow.
So,
A 12th.
then I mean, it's incredible. And here's the other thing: 99% of the soybean production in the US won't even grow without chemicals sprayed on it,
Yeah.
which is horrendous. We're like that, so now we're dumping chemicals into the food system, the water,
Yeah.
into the air.
Yeah.
And it's a monocrop. So we're
Right.
doing this annually and just ripping it out of the ground and destroying soil health. Whereas
Wow.
the oil we're producing for frying, it's a perennial crop. Like these plants, they're basically like a very unique kind of palm. They're not trees. It's the leaves grow out of the ground and they produce these big bushels of fruit. The trees themselves are like very easy for the farmers to deal with because they're at waist height. It's very efficient. But the oil that it produces, not only is it, obviously very efficient, regenerative. I mean, we're looking at 30 plus years it's going to produce this fruit. So they
Wow.
don't touch the soil. It's like a jungle, basically. They're grown in a tropical climate in South America.
Wow.
Can they only grow in tropical or can it grow in northern climates?
Yeah, it's only tropical, Neil. It's really interesting. They were having a problem with bud rot, a fungus down there in the 90s, and they started grafting plants together. The farmers were trying to figure this out, and they grafted plant called the oleifera with a genesis tree, and it produced this kind of like bush-like palm. And then about 5 years later, I mean, it was resistant to the bud rot, so they
Mm.
survived. And then it started producing this fruit 4 or 5 years later, and they knew then, okay, we have something pretty magical here, like a seedless, very fleshy, oily fruit.
Mm.
And then, they've been scaling it, and now we have scale where, there's enough production that, we're selling it into the US market. But yeah, I mean, the farms themselves is phenomenal. So they take the oil, they press the oil. There's no chemicals used. It's just organic pressed oil, kind of like a tropical olive.
Wow.
And then they take the flesh and fiber, compost it in like giant composters on the farm. They're like 2 football fields. As it's composting, the dome is filling with methane gas. And they clean the gas, use it to power the farm. So the farm's completely off
Wow.
grid. It's self-powered by the plants. And then they have worm farms at the farm. They take the composted material, put it back on the plants, add the
Yeah.
worms, and that's it.
Jeez.
So
And I'm
complete
sorry, did you say it's on a half an acre or third of an acre versus 6 acres?
a third. So a metric ton is a third, right?
Oh.
Soy is the worst, and I think Neil probably knows more about this than I do, but I'm pretty sure that's the
Wow.
number one. That's the number seed crop in the United States
In the
Wow.
United
for
States.
oil.
Canola.
Canola is, yeah, and
Mm,
canola is 4.6 acres,
that's
so still
amazing.
incredibly efficient. And the extraction processes, right? So they have to use solvents to remove the oil. So when I say solvents are like gasoline products, hexane,
Jeez.
poisonous chemicals to extract this minute amount of oil out of the
Yeah.
plants. So they have
Wow.
to the land use is insane. So it's
Yeah.
just, so that's I really kind of just went into the environmental impacts there.
Yeah.
But the human impact, there's three fats really that we all talk about. There's monosaturated fats. Monosaturated fats are considered very healthy, and humans should consume a lot of that. Doctors don't have any issue with that. There's saturated fat, you know, generally we're told to eat in moderation. I'll be honest, my honest opinion, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that that is accurate. Saturated fats are really, like the animal fats, butter, lard, tallow, that,
Hmm.
they're higher in saturated fats. And then there's polyunsaturated fats, and those fats are the ones that are very unstable. They, when you heat them, they become
Mm,
toxic.
hmm.
So these seed oils are very high in polyunsaturated fats. Soybean is, I think it's 60% polyunsaturated fat.
Wow.
So
And those
one
are
of the
carcinogenic, no? I mean, those are the ones that they're saying that cause the, yeah.
you heat them up at 350 degrees, which is kind of the bottom line, certainly for deep frying,
Yeah.
and they start to produce what are called aldehydes. Aldehydes are extremely toxic. I mean,
Wow.
these are the same toxic chemicals that come from cigarette smoking.
Wow.
So someone in a kitchen who's working over fryers, especially a fast food place, they're inhaling that, but
Oh,
also it's all over the food.
right.
And it's kind of, we're seeing this like conversion to predominantly animal fat in the food service industry. A lot of people are changing back to beef tallow.
Hmm.
But frankly, that is not farmed well either, for the most part.
Mm,
Like, there are some regenerative farms, but we're not producing scaled, healthy tallow. Most of it is commodity animals that are, well,
mm,
they're eating the seed that's been grown with the
mm.
chemicals, first of all. But it's
And
not,
I've just learned too, Kevin, that they are actually folding in petrol lard into it. It's like it's a petrol gum that they're folding into the tallow to give it.
oh,
It's basically cutting
Come
it, right,
on.
to make it longer. It looks white in the jar, and that's all.
Wow.
Or the bricks look good, for the fryer, but it's still. So you really have to know the source of origin, where it came from,
yeah.
how it was
Wow.
manufactured. Like a lot of things that are processed and coming off of our fields these days.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the importance
it
of the
doesn't
blockchain.
scale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it doesn't scale at all. I mean, and then the other oil that we're seeing a lot of in more of the ingredient and cold application as well is avocado oil,
Mm. I actually was
which
going to ask you
is,
about that.
yeah, I mean, avocado oil is a great oil. So just to give you kind of round out the fats part, like olive oil, avocado oil, they're probably 10 to 20% polyunsaturated fat. They're much better for you. And they don't tend to get used in high heat as well, so they don't degrade as badly. But we call our fruit fruit, and that comes from the Latin the oleifera in the
Mm.
name of the plant. So that's about 12% polyunsaturated fat. It's extremely low. But the
Yeah.
avocado oil, there's a couple of issues in the avocado oil world. One is it's not certified for the most part. So there's no one testing these oils, and
Mm.
we have similar problems worldwide with olive oil, where the less ethical people in the world would literally they'll just mix canola oil with the olive oil and call it olive oil, and
Come on.
happens is exactly the same with avocado oil.
Wow.
we've looked at, lab tested avocado oils out on the market. Very few of them actually come back as pure avocado oil. So they're being doctored. And it's very obvious. Like, I work in this industry where we're supplying, you know, large companies, the Chipotle's, I was in Las Vegas with Fontainebleau. I mean, these guys use, I mean, it's a truckload of oil a month, basically. And
Wow.
I'm trying to do the math quickly, but it's thousands of pounds of oil that they're
Wow.
using, right? So it's, we're dealing with volume, and I go and meet with people and they're like, well, we use avocado oil. And I'm like, what do you pay for your avocado oil? And they'll be like, oh, it's like $95 for 35 pounds. I'm like, oh. The math isn't there, right? Like,
Yeah.
I use math a lot just in my general life. I'm like, so you're telling me that you're buying avocados for $60 a case, which is
Right.
like 48 avocados, and then you're buying avocado oil,
Mm,
35 pounds of oil for $95. I'm like, I'm sorry, the math doesn't work. That's
they're
not
cutting it.
has to be cut.
They
If it
have to
was real
be.
avocado, it'd be the same as like pure olive oil. It'd be $200+ for, and I never see that. I don't see that out in the food service industry. It's like these avocado oils are $120. It's like they cannot be pure. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We see this in honey as well. This is another.
Mm,
The growth of honey consumption keeps going up and up and up and up. And for a multitude of problems, one, the fact that we're killing the bees, but
yeah.
with chemicals, the production of honey is going down and down and down, yet we're still able to supply the growth.
What
That
are they cutting
makes
honey with? Do you have any insight on that? Because I am like honey fanatic over here.
corn syrup. Generally, they won't use sugar because sugar is actually expensive. So it will be some kind of corn syrup or a fructose syrup, some kind of syrup.
Fructose. Yeah, a lot of fructose.
A lot of
Yeah.
fructose
Good
syrup.
little Miss Amanda over here, allergic to corn, good old corn syrup and my honey. I am not okay with
Exactly.
that.
Like, I mean,
Wow.
that's corn is in, and that is a maltodextrin is
Everything.
a corn
Yeah.
derivative, right? It's
Yeah.
in nearly every packaged product, Amanda. So,
Yep.
like, I'm sure you're aware. It's
Yep.
so what's the solution? Well, the solution is like find ethical companies that are doing the right thing for people and planet. You know, Zero Acre is a public benefit
Hmm.
corporation. Like, our decision making at a board level in the boardroom is the first things we consider are, is this good for people? Is this good for planet?
Love that.
And we're still a for-profit company. We still have to make money, and you can make money by doing ethical things that are right. In fact, I believe you can ultimately make more money than everybody if you do it the right way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then for a consumer, this is what I educate. I'm like, find a farm, man. Go find a farmer who's got bees.
Yeah.
Like, search these people out. There are a lot, and I think Neil can speak to this more because I've I know a little bit more about what Neil's organization does, and like, you can go find farmers that will sell you really
Yeah.
good eggs
Yeah.
and bread and honey and stuff that they grew that you can rely on, and
Yeah.
you can go meet them, and you know that this is coming from the right place. And
Yeah.
I grew up with that. So I grew up getting my products from the people who produced it,
Yeah.
and we've got completely disconnected from that.
Yeah.
We're
That's one of my favorite
allowing,
things of Grow United, the Nourish Mart, bringing that back in. It's one of my favorite aspects to it.
yeah, I mean, it's so important. This is the only way we can affect change. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, these small steps, I see it. We do this. We're not getting rid of the big corporations. They're not going to go anywhere, but they are changing the way they operate.
Hmm.
Mm.
I have companies coming to us now talking about our oil and putting it in their restaurants, and it is consumer driven. I know that they
Hmm.
are they are being forced to make that decision because consumers are getting very educated on seed oil. It's the number
Hmm.
one food nutrition search on Google.
Wow.
I mean, it's gone up 3,000% in the last few years. And
Wow.
now these restaurant groups and, you see it, they're all changing the way they operate. Las
Hmm.
Vegas is renowned for, frankly, using the cheapest product they can get.
Mm.
So I'm in Las Vegas converting these huge casino food operations where they have like 25 restaurants in each
Mm.
casino, from commodity canola and soybean to our oil. Our
Wow.
oil, is not cheap. It lasts much longer, industry enough, because it's got much stabler fat,
Hmm.
but we're tripling their actual bottom line on their oil.
Wow.
But these companies now, and frankly,
Yeah.
even the chefs are being educated more. I didn't
Yeah.
like, I used canola oil 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It was brought, and we would cut it with olive oil to save costs, right? And
Wow.
I was not educated on it. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And now chefs and the public are getting really educated. And
Yeah.
so the more we ask smaller producers, we spend our money with those people. Seems
Yeah.
like I meet people and they're kind of hopeless about it. And I'm like, don't be hopeless. Just keep supporting the people that are doing it right. And then the
Hmm.
big boys will be forced to switch.
Yeah.
And I see it happening at this, like it's starting to happen. We just need
Yeah.
way more, we need way more of it, and it needs to be, and I'll let Neil talk about it, but more than just seed oil production. It needs to be all of agriculture,
Yeah.
animals, vegetables, it's a huge subject, right? It's the
Yeah.
number one.
Well, on the vegetable side
Yeah.
too, like I mean, you've got fresh veggies, and then you've got the processors, right? And the processors are doing a really good job, right? They just are creating, particularly for restaurant groups like Fontainebleau, it's the ability to get quality and consistency, right? The two things that play around in the economic line are quality and consistency. And if you've got the supply into the quality chain, then you've got the consistency, and then you just figure out the rest of the nuts and bolts in terms of their financial model. But there's really good independent processors out there that have are connected direct to farm, or like the farm I'm at today, are farm and processor in one, right? Like
Mm.
they're doing their own nose to tail servicing because they can control all the elements. They know how they're growing it, they know how they're processing it. It means it's going to have a better downstream effect. And so everything
Yeah.
you're talking about just makes me smile from ear to ear, because this is what we need. It's the small incremental
Yeah.
changes that will make the domino effect,
Yeah.
because if we try to tackle it from a large swath, it never is going to hit. But
Yeah.
I think the thing that is apparent is you can't do this from a groundswell, or you can't do it from a top down. It's got to be a mixture of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend everyone that's listening to think about where you can go with processing. And as much as you get to know your farmers, also get to know those independent processors, because they're doing really cool things to get you product where farms can't. They're either tied into the supply chain that is big ag, or they're tied into some sort of contractual agreement. Well, you can actually find that quality food just through independent processes that are pulling in and sourcing, and
Hmm.
aggregating farmers that are doing really good things, so that you can find that quality product. And
Yeah.
particularly, top of mind is obviously produce right now for me, but it could be anything. I mean, anything that we're going to consume, as Kevin was mentioning.
Yeah.
But I
That's
think
a really
it's
good point.
it's a dual purpose, right? Because the more we support farmers doing the right thing, the more farmers we're going to have, and more access we're going to have. And so it's always a cascading domino effect, and we got to think about that every time we vote with our dollar. Where do we
Mm.
go? Why are we voting?
Right.
And Vegas, like Fontainebleau in Vegas, is a good example of that. Consumers are there voting with their dollar for a lot of other reasons. But if we can start to affect some thinking about what they're putting in their bodies right at that
Yeah.
level, that's a huge change, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really is,
Absolutely.
and it's, at the oil level. I mean, the ferrofruit oil performs so much better than the seed oils as well. It's a
Hmm.
very like neutral. The food is crispier, less greasy,
Hmm.
because it's not, saturated in that polyunsaturated fat, not to use saturated twice, but so you're getting like they're getting a higher quality product out of the fryer, and
Yeah.
then you eat the food, and I've eaten more fried food in the last year probably than I ever would have before. Certainly in like since I left England. But you're frying something with this kind of oil. I mean, it's as healthy as olive oil.
Well,
And so you just feel good. You like I
yeah.
was I was there last night, we were at a restaurant in the Wynn Hotel that they're already seed oil free, and
Nice.
they're using our oil in their fryer. And my VP and I are sitting there, and he's eating, we order like wings and fish and chips and some fried chicken, and we're tasting it all. We eat all of this fried food, and then we like walk back to our hotel, and it is so noticeable how you feel when you eat good quality food.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I try to convey at a chef level with my background with
Yeah.
larger operators is, when you do a side by side taste test with the ferrofruit oil and like
Mm.
soybean oil, there is like an aftertaste with soybean and canola. It gives you a sore throat. It's
Wow.
things that people don't notice unless you give them the better option.
Sure.
They
It's almost
they
like just being human today. They just take it as that's
It doesn't
normal.
register, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
so part of what I have to do is really like emphasize those things on a culinary level of like,
Yeah.
okay, your product is better, it tastes better, you feel
Yeah.
better. And that is exactly the
Yeah.
same as like really good fresh produce. It has
Yeah.
from really rich soil that's handled
Yeah.
correctly. It tastes better. I mean, I'll give you an example. My wife's American. I've lived here
Hmm.
20 plus years. When we met, one of the things she told me about was when she visited the UK, and she
Hmm.
drove around England a little bit with a friend when they were like young. And she said, I would just like go to the grocery and get like carrots. And I'm like, and she said, yeah, I would eat the carrots. And I'm like, yeah, what did you think of the carrots? She's like, they were really carroty. And it like warmed my heart, first of all, because it's just so sweet. But it's like, and and then I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's, so like one thing that
Yeah.
notes to me, right, we're all about fish and chips in England.
Yeah.
So when you go into a fish and chip shop in England and you get fish and chips and you eat a potato, a lot of it is fried in animal fat, which is great for frying, and it's not an unhealthy oil to cook with at all. And we're now seeing that come back, which is,
Yeah.
again, it's like we're going back in time is all we're doing. But the
Yeah.
potatoes are a strong potato flavor.
Interesting.
So I ask anyone who's listening to this, it's like, if you eat fast food, because I don't believe we should just eliminate everything. It's like if you eat some French fries, see how much potato you taste in that French fry.
Yeah. They really
Because
don't have much taste.
I promise
Yeah.
you there's not a lot of potato in it. It's
Yeah.
and then you go somewhere where, I mean, the soil in England is black. It is, I mean, it was prized possession in Northern Europe
Yeah.
for many
Yeah.
thousands of years. The Romans wanted it, the Vikings wanted it. I mean,
Yeah.
they came for the farmland. Was so
Amazing.
so it's like the food anyway, vegetables taste so much better. I grow vegetables at home.
Yeah.
You're never gonna get a tomato like one picked off a vine out of your own soil. But
Absolutely.
we have a
Well, and it
lot of
would be
farm
great
we
to
have
get it'd be great to get the world back to that. I think that the United States has a lot of potential, certainly a lot better than we're doing on this today. And I don't know if we'd ever quite get there with the UK soil, and being that it is so prized. But I mean, it's interesting just looking at all these things together. And I have to find this quote. I was thinking about this earlier when you were talking. Previously, I used to work with professional athletes, in a medical facility, a holistic side of things. And there was a quote in the insurance policy that basically, and I'm just kind of pulling this out right now, but it was talking about like the chiropractic side of things, it literally said in there that it's not deemed medically necessary if it actually healed the body. I'll find this quote, I'll bring it up. It was actually written into the insurance policies. So we really have to take all this into our own hands, you know, like we're doing with the farmers, with the soil, with the oils, and getting, you know, good things replaced. And by the way, I have adrenal desiccant here on my dresser, that supplement specifically. So I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. But Kevin, I know we're coming up to the end of the podcast here, but I think I think it's safe to say we could continue talking to you forever, and definitely want to. Love to have you back on the podcast and dive into a few more topics. I certainly have learned a lot from what you were sharing today. I love what you're doing with Zero Acre. Anything we can do to back you up. You certainly are part of this community for all the right reasons. You're on this mission with us. And I'd love to invite you guys to list on the Nourish Mart and really become part of that. Get that solution out to more people. We'll get you back on the calendar as soon as we can to have you back on Pasture Prime Time. It would be such a pleasure.
Thank you, man. I mean, I live and breathe it, and you guys do too, right? And
Yeah,
I'm all of it. People just need education, and they need information that is accurate. They need data that is not being doctored for marketing purposes,
exactly.
right? And you guys are really leading the charge there too. So yeah, I mean, I love what you're doing, and you too, Neil. Happy to come back anytime.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much. Pleasure to
Yeah,
have
of
you. Looking
course.
forward to the next one. And we've got our call next week to continue saving the planet.
Exactly. It doesn't go away.
It doesn't. We don't want it to go away.
No, let's
Let's get
keep
it
working
done.
on it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a really